is the last day of June. It's Pastor Trish, and I invite you to sing with me. I want to teach you just a couple lines to a song, and I'm going to sing it a few times, and you can catch on to it. The Lord of life is my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God's the source of life. The Lord of light is my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God's the source of life. The Lord of light is my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God's the source of life. One more time. The Lord of light is my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God's the source of life. This is a song that is sung. It's a song called Lord of Light by Hans Peterson, who is a member of the musical group Dakota Road. And it is a song based on Psalm 27, which is our psalm for this evening. And I will post the whole song in the comments section when we are done here. Psalm 27, a psalm of trust, a psalm of lament, a prayer for help. And I invite you to just listen, settle into this psalm. It's a little bit lengthy, so listen as I read. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and foes, they shall stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rise up against me, yet I will be confident. One thing I asked of the Lord, that I will seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will set me high on a rock. And the neighbors are shooting off fireworks, but that's not a part of the psalm. But maybe there's something to be said. In the time of trouble and loud noises and uncertainty, God will shelter us. I digress. I move on. Now my head is lifted up above my enemies all around me, and I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry out loud. Be gracious to me and answer me. Come, my heart says, seek his face. Your face, Lord, do I seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger, you who have been my help. Do not cast me off. Do not forsake me, O God of my salvation. If my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will take me up. Teach me your way, O Lord, and lead me on a level path because of my enemies. Do not give me up to the will of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me and they are breathing out violence. I believe that I shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. As you can hear, this psalm goes back and forth, a psalm of trust and then a psalm of anxiety or worry, fear, and then back to trust. And then God, make sure you're going to protect me. And then finally at the end again, be strong and wait for the Lord. A psalm who it probably had some familiar verses in there for you. It's a beautiful psalm. And I want to share with you this evening a story that comes from one of my professors at Luther Seminary, Rolf Jacobson. I have heard him tell this story in many places and in many ways over the year. And so he shares this story all the time about this particular psalm and what it meant to him. And so I want to share what he wrote about it in a commentary I've been using. It's called the Book of Psalms, and it's a commentary that he has written along with a couple other folks. I'll show you a picture of it. But this is what he wants to say about this psalm, and it's good stuff. If the reader will forgive a deeply personal reflection, it may well have been Psalm 27, verse 1, that first inspired the present writer's fascination with the Psalms. He said, when I was 15 years old, I was diagnosed with bone cancer. The cancer led to the amputation of both of my legs and about uh, 10 long surgeries to check the cancer's spreading threat. Throughout that lengthy day of trouble, which lasted over 3 years, there was a great deal indeed to fear and to dread. There was the frightful prospect of death, the cancer that consumed my flesh. Even more, there was the terrifying prospect of life, of spending all the days of my life with a disability. Would I find a career, purpose, love? In those dark years, this psalm became a favorite word of Scripture, not because it denies the fears of life, but because through its powerful metaphors like war, enemies, abandonment by family, etc., it sketched in an authentic way a picture of this terrible challenges of life. And then, looking at those dangers in the eye, the psalm expresses trust in the Lord. For that reason, this psalm has spoken so well for many of God's suffering people in so many and various circumstances. And indeed, it will speak for those who suffer. It speaks words of fear and words of trust. The two are not as far removed from one another as one might imagine. And he ends with that verse I was singing: The Lord's my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? God's the source of light. May those words bring to you whatever comfort and words of trust and assurance that you may need this evening. And we will see you tomorrow.